Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I greet you all according to your time and locations you'll be watching this video. Yes, my dear viewers, I am back again with another update. So guys, I have a video here I would like we all to watch. But before then, if you're meeting my channel for the very first time, you're highly welcome. Please kindly do well to like, share and subscribe. Leave your thought on the comment section and let us know what you think about this video, and I will see you towards the end.
Elect Bola Tinubu. Some residents, five of them actually, of the Federal Capital Territory FCT Abuja, have approached the Abuja division of the Federal High Court for an order to halt the ceremony. Now, the plaintiffs in the suit applied for an order restraining the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariwola, and any other judicial officer or authority from swearing in any candidate in the February 25th presidential election as president or vice president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The plaintiffs sued for themselves and on behalf of other residents and registered voters in the Federal Capital Territory. They're asking the court to determine, quote, whether or not the person who is to be elected president and consequently administrator of the FCT through the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory and the Federal Capital Territory Development Authority on the first ballot is required by the Constitution to obtain at least 25% of the votes cast in the FCT. The plaintiffs also want a declaration extending President Muhammadu Buhari's tenure pending when a successor is determined in accordance with the Constitution. I'm now being joined on the program by Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Wahab Shitu, to speak more on this. Mr. Shitu, thank you very much for joining us on the program. Let me start by asking, what do you make of this suit now filed by these residents of the FCT?
In my view, this suit is a gross abuse of court process. Gross abuse of court process because of the following reasons. First, we know that the election, the declaration of Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu as the president-elect is already a subject of litigation before the presidential election, tribunal. As such, if there is any court of competent jurisdiction who is seized of the matter, it is the tribunal that is presently handling the election petition tribunal. That can make any order, whether to restrain, whether to take any steps in the proceedings. It is not any other court. Certainly it is not the High Court of the FCT, because the High Court of the FCT is an inferior tribunal. It's inferior to the tribunal that is trying the presidential election now, which is which is sitting as the Court of Appeal.
Yeah.
So if they want any application to be made under the pre-hearing protocol provisions as a prelude to the determination of the election petition, they will have brought an application before the presidential election petition tribunal. To now go before a court of inferior, jurisdiction to the Court of Appeal is a gross abuse of a court process.
But could they bring a case before the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal when they were not candidates in the election?
Yes, that is another reason why I would also say that they are not candidates in the election. To that extent, they lack the competence to institute the proceedings. This is just an unnecessary distraction. And this is what we are talking about, multiplicity of suits in respect of the same subject matter. Now that this matter has been brought before the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, it is the tribunal that has the jurisdiction to entertain all matters relating to the election, not any other tribunal. Our legal system does not permit parallel proceedings in respect of the same subject matter. Secondly, you also want to say that, whether that suit is even in a position to succeed. My answer is clear no. It cannot succeed because one, it is only the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal that has a jurisdiction to pronounce on anything relating to the election by virtue of our constitutional provisions and by virtue of the provisions of the Electoral Act. The question you want to ask yourself is whether this Federal High Court has the jurisdiction to entertain any matter relating to the election with respect to the presidential election. The answer again is no. It does not have that jurisdiction because the High Court of the FCT will be presided over by one judge, whereas the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal that has the jurisdiction to determine matters pertaining to the election is constituted by 3 judges. And so you can see that on all parameters, this suit is dead on arrival. It's an unnecessary distraction. It's a subversion of the rule of law. It's an attempt to annoy and bring our judicial system into gross disrepute. It cannot succeed. It is dead on arrival. It will fail. And I can assure you that the only thing lawyers to the president election need to do is to bring a notice of preliminary objection to the suit. And the court will have no difficulty throwing it out. Another issue that you have to determine is this a post-election dispute or a pre-election dispute or an election dispute? If it is a pre-election dispute, I would say the High Court of the FCT has no jurisdiction to entertain it. If it is an election dispute, the only court that can entertain is the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal. There's nowhere in the provisions of the Constitution or even in the provisions of the Electoral Act is any other court permitted to entertain any suit relating to the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal.
Let's quickly look at the subject. Let's quickly talk about the subject matter of this suit now, regardless of how you see it now. But let's talk about the subject matter, and that's the 25%, the 25%, so-called 25% requirement now that a candidate should get from the FCT. What's your position on it? Is it the Constitution that a candidate contesting for the presidency of this country must go in by the provisions of the Constitution? I don't know whether it's constitutional that candidate must score 25% of votes in the FCT, irrespective of whether he wins the entire states in the country. If that candidate does not get 25% of the votes in the FCT, that candidate cannot be declared winner of a presidential election. Is that what the Constitution says?
Thank you very much. Even though I have my views and I can competently respond to your question, I will caution myself not to respond. The reason is that issue is already a subject matter of dispute before the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal. To that extent, that issue is sub judice. As a member of the INABA, I have to respect proceedings before the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal. So let's wait for how the Court of Appeal determines that issue. I will not comment on that issue because it's already a subject matter of disputation before the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal. The only reason I volunteered an opinion in respect of the matter before the High Court of the
Abuja Division
is that I have a duty to ensure, to prevent gross abuse of court process. The matter is already pending before the court of competent jurisdiction that is constitutionally empowered to entertain such matters. The application that we are talking about is not brought before that Presidential Election Petition Tribunal. It's brought before a court of inferior jurisdiction. I think I have a duty as a law officer to ensure that our court processes are not abused. And that's why I commented on that.
Yeah.
But any matter before the presidential election petition tribunal, I will refrain and caution myself from commenting. I will not comment.
And I think that's very understandable. And we really appreciate that, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Wahab Shitu. Thank you very much for your time. And thank you for obliging us.
Now, I want to oblige you. You are one of the most respected journalists in this country. And so when you call us, even at short notice, it's our duty to respond. Thank you for services to country.
Thank you.